Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm joined by Natasha Jonas. How you doing today, Natasha?
I'm doing well. I was a little bit tired earlier. Finished training. It's been a good week, and I've got my little girl bribed upstairs.
I I I imagine it can try as difficult at the moment with all the homeschooling.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. But we are getting the results that we want. She's doing well. She's moved up in set, so I'm happy with that. It just goes to show that all the tears are worth it in the end.
I can't imagine be I can't imagine training and being a parent at any time, let alone times like this when everything's up in the air.
I mean, it's different, and it is tough at times, because you're like juggling, um, but we'll probably never get this kind of time again. And especially in the first lockdown, I had 24 hours with my own child, and, and that has its ups and its downs. But I learned so much about her, and now she's like, she enjoys coming to the gym. She knows what mum does. She likes being around. She likes like messing and counting the lads' reps and stuff. So it's good that she's around that environment and she finally kind of gets what I do, because I don't think she really gets it.
Yeah, and at least she's doing into at least she's willing to participate to some degree. Because it would be a real nightmare if she went with you and she was just bored the whole time, if you know what I mean.
No, yeah, I mean the lads try and make it, as fun as they can for it, and she loves tormenting Crawler, so she just goes and torments Crawler while I'm on the bag and stuff, and then when one set of lads are finished, she'll be counting their ton ups, and she makes sure that Joe says go and count what they're doing, Mila, so she'll go and she'll count them so the lads get away with nothing.
That 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 sounds like I got it must be an interesting experience when she comes to work with with you.
Yeah, I mean, she does. She like she knows that a box. She sees it on the telly and stuff, but like I said, she doesn't really quite get it. But now that she's in and around, she sees what work goes. Because I just think she thinks I go to the gym and like just go to the gym. That's because I say, oh, I'm going to the gym. Where are you going, Mum? I'm going to work. I'm going to the gym, and she just associates that, I think, with the normal gym, like the David Lloyd's that we go to. So I think she thinks I go and play around a fun centre. But actually, she can see now, and she, yeah, like I said, they make it as fun as they can for her, and she enjoys being there, and she'll do little things with the equipment. She's got her own little 1 kilo dumbbells that she does exercises with, and she'll do the press ups and the sit ups, and she'll be like, look, Mum, look at my muscles after doing like 2 sit ups. So it is quite, it's funny.
And I imagine she got loads of stories to tell her friends at school when she can go back to school, obviously.
Yeah, and they're like really, they're only 5, so they probably won't know some of the athletes that she's been around. But in years to come, when she's telling stories of being in the gym with, ex boxers and world champions, I'm sure she'll get a bit of credit for it.
I, I would imagine one day it will be interesting to look back upon who who she's met and the time in their career that she's met them.
No, yeah, like I say, to her at the minute, they're just the lads that are in our gym. But when she's older and she realizes, some of the pedigree of boxers she's been around, I'm sure she'll appreciate it a bit more.
The, because obviously I did my research. Yeah. I saw that you said that she's interested in football? Is that still the case?
Yeah, no, I think the first time we went to, well, we've been to Keita's like city matches and stuff when she was a little bit younger, but she's too busy doing whatever then. But we went to the World Cup and she proper understood it, and she knew which player Keita was, and so she was there in the stadium with 65,000 people allowed to make as much noise as she could, and she proper enjoyed it, and she was like, Mama, that's what I want to do. I want to play football like Auntie Keita. And I was happy because it's a sport that I like, so I was saying, yeah, so let's, we found a little local team that she goes and just, learns the basics of football in Kingsley. And yeah, we just she still got me out in the park, and we still have a kick around. We've got a goal in the garden, so hopefully she'll be a decent player.
And and I imagine as a parent, you're you're probably happier we were doing football rather than boxing because obviously with football it's still a physical sport, but obviously it's not safe than boxing.
Um, I mean, I think football injury wise is probably worse. The worst I've had in boxing was I've snapped me Achilles, my ligament in my toe in the Commonwealth Games, but that was I've dislocated the toe, I've snapped my intercruciate ligament, I've had concussion and everything playing football. So to be honest, I don't. I just encourage her to be active. That's what my mum did for me, and the sport found me. I tried a million before that, and I just fell into one. And I think she'll do the same. I think sometimes, I was saying this the other day, if you follow your parent into your parent sport, that it can be a bit of pressure, like a Ben, like a Eubank, like a, Nas, like a Hatton, you know, they're huge names. And when their kids follow that in their footsteps, they've already got such pressure because they expect them to be like the parents. So for that sense, I wouldn't really want her to follow me in that sense. But, if she turned around and said she wanted to be a boxer, that it wouldn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I can understand that because obviously when you're a second generation anything, as you said, you've got that expectation of living up to your dad or to your mum or whatever it is before you even started.
It is, and you've all, like, everyone wants to protect this and not ever lose, but then you've got the added pressure of, you've got this name as well that you've got to carry, and it's a big pressure.
This is gonna sound a bit cliche, but I don't think there's anything wrong with losing as long as you learn from the loss. And I'll, I'll, I'll learn how to improve from the loss, if you know what I mean.
No, I think, when the thing with winning is that, like, you obviously, every time you go into a camp, you go and you adapt into your opponent, and you want to improve on times, on weights, and whatever, every camp that you do. But when you win, you can become a little bit,
Complacent.
that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, you can become a bit complacent because you've won. So the mistakes that you do you've started with, you don't really go back and correct because you won. But it's only when you lose that you think, actually, you break down everything, and then you think, no, this was wrong. And when you look, it was wrong from the start, but it's just because you were winning that you didn't really think you needed to correct it. But obviously, when you move up in levels and stuff, you can get found out. So I mean, it's exactly what you say. As long as you can learn from your win, you'd be you'd be in the wrong game if you're in boxing and you're not learning from wins. You don't want to have too many. Obviously, no one does. We're competitive athletes, but if you don't learn from them, then it's the wrong thing to do.
Now, the, obviously you played for Liverpool ladies before you got into boxing. Yeah. So, so what was your position?
I was a left winger. I'm naturally left-footed.
So, so, so what would you say with your, would you, what was your craniness? you're playing in a team as a football player, would you take the opportunity to go to to nearly go to America, or is it something else?
There's two. I mean, going to America was an unbelievable, amazing thing, and I was a kid from Toxteth who, I wasn't that um like educational minded. I never thought I was clever enough to kind of go to university, so that was huge. But my first ever trophy that I won for me local team, that was that made me believe I was a winner, and I still got that trophy because it means so much. Everyone thinks, "Oh, what's your biggest trophy?" They automatically assume it'll be a boxing one, but it's not. It was my first ever football one, which was from like I think it was 1990 or something, and it was because like when I got that medal, like it was the first time I believed that I was a winner, and it stuck with me. And I was like, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, and it's got me through to where I am now in any sport. It's just that that sometimes things just click mentally, and I was like, right, I can do this.
Okay. Because I seem to remember you the first time you watched it was I can't remember what the year was. My apologies, but it was some sort of World Cup. It was some sort of World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the it was the I think the third World Cup that the USA had won, and there was Mia Hamm was like the superstar of the team, and she was the first ever female to get £1 million sponsorship deal from Nike, and I watched it and I thought, oh my god, I'm better than her. All I need to do is get to America, and then I'll get seen by Nike, and I'll be seen by a team, and I can play professional football and be this millionaire, and that was my train of thought. That's the reason I wanted to get to America, but give me that incentive to get there.
So it sounds like you had a lot of you had a lot of confidence in your ability from young. So I so in your so in your opinion, how do you get the balance right between confidence and cockiness?
It's it's mad because it is such a thin line, you know, um, and how you perceive something, how you put out something might not be the way people perceive it. So I like, I was saying things in my last camp in the harbour thing, and people were like, "Oh, she's deluded, she's this, she's that," but I was generally believed it, so that's why I was saying it, but people didn't perceive it that way. So it's hard because it's hard to say to know what the balance because everyone perceives it different. Some people say things that you know I take offense to, but then other people won't. So it it's
So
it's all
it's
about other
very
people's perception.
subjective, really, isn't it? Very
Yeah, it's a very taboo thing.
in my personal opinion, if you don't have any confidence in your own ability, especially in sport, then I personally believe that there's no point in competing if you don't believe in yourself.
No, 100%. If there's like you have to be confident. There's no if I sat there in a boxing interview and they said, Tasha, what do you think your chances are like? And I was like, well, I'm not too sure. I'm gonna do my best, and people will be like, what is she doing? Like, why is she there? But I'm not saying you know you can't be deluded. I can't say, oh yeah, I want to fight Anthony Joshua because that's just never going to happen. So, but at the same time, you have to, like you're saying, you have to have confidence. Your brain will tell, and your mind will tell you can do stuff or you can't, and it's decided in there before it's ever decided, like physically. So, like, you know, if I say I can do it, I have to have my brain to tell me we can do it before I physically can do it. So, but once your brain's on side with you, your body can do anything.
Obviously, this is nothing compared to what you do, but even what I'm doing now, like interviewing you, I need to have I need to have some sort of confidence in myself to do it, because otherwise I wouldn't be I wouldn't have the belief to reach out to people. Yeah, so I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
No, of course. And like it's mad because I am comfortable and confident going into, stadiums with 10 and 15 and whatever thousand people, and I'm confident to go into schools and talk to hundreds of kids at a time. But then you put me in the head teacher's office and I crumble. I just can't speak to like an adult or like a head teacher, or if I don't like something at a dinner and I have to say, oh, like send it back, or it's not right. I won't do it. I'll be like, oh, why don't you do that? I crumble. So it's just what it's getting your comfort zones and like working beyond them. But everyone's got different things.
When it, when when it comes to my food, I'm probably the opposite. I'm probably the opposite. I'm a really fussy person when it comes to yeah. But anyway, as you just said, growing up, you were not a very educational person. But as you've gotten older, have you gone back and took a couple of exams, or you just learn as you go along?
A little bit of both. There's things that I'm very interested in that I take it upon myself, and there's things that I think that will help me progress, and things that I think I might need. Obviously, I do a lot of work with young people and kids and coaching and stuff. So I do my first aid courses, I do my coaching badges, I do, I've actually done bits of work with the communications to work on commentary skills. Um, but then there's things that like psychology and how your mind works, and as an athlete right now, a competing athlete, I want to find out about myself, and in the first lockdown, that's what I did. I went and bought loads of psychology books and learned about what makes me tick, what works for me, and worked on me. And there's things that I just personally want to learn, but there's also things that I went out and had to go and bite the bullet and take on board with that I think that will help me.
So, so, wait, so do you know you eventually do retire? Would you like to get into psychology and become like a psychologist, or is it just a case of you just is it just a case of you just like to like for your own sake, or would you like to pass it on to people?
I mean, I don't know if I want to take the academic route of down and becoming a psychologist, but I am very interested in it, and I like finding out about different theories and different mindset, and applying that to myself, and seeing how that works for me. Not everything does, not everything will, but at least I can say I've tried it and I did it. And any information or books that I ever find, or things that I do, I will always pass it on, and I'll say to any boxer or lads in the gym or to Joe, watch this, read this, and you've got it. There's a whole wealth and depth of knowledge, just share and share alike.
I was wondering the other day. Do you know in boxing, is there many corner women in boxing? 'Cause I don't remember seeing a lot of them, so I was just curious.
There is a few. I know in the amateur clubs as well, there's quite a few. Um, but there is a few professional ones. I've seen them internationally. There's a few internationally amateur. There is a few. Um, but yeah, it's again, they're not it's not there's not a big huge number of them. There's not a large depth of them, and um yeah, there's not that many.
Do you think that one day there will be, or do you think it's like that sort of thing?
No, I think I think every, like, not generation, but every like turn of the Olympics or whatever, there'll be people that go off and do different things. Like myself, Nikki and Savannah, Chantal, we went pro, but Amanda Coulson went to be a coach. So I know that some boxers, um, some amateur boxers that have gone and done their referee and judges courses. So everyone will spring off into to do something, but the more we get, so yeah, just the more women that get involved in the sport, eventually they'll spread out and do loads of different jobs within it. That hopefully that's what the game plan is. That's what's happening with all other sports. So I'd like to see that happen within boxing. I think GB boxing in particular have been really good in um, providing roles for the women that have been through the circuit, and that have that they think would will benefit the squad. Like I said, Amanda is now coaching the Young England. Uh, Myself, I was offered a position to be a coach and was going to be fast tracked through, but I decided to take the pro route. So they're opening doors and opportunities for women to be involved in the sport in a different format that have been and done the circuit.
So, so obviously, obviously not retiring yet. Have you got something in mind that you want to do when you retire? Like, do you want to be a commentator, or do you want to be a trainer, or is there something else that you want to do outside of boxing?
First of all, I'm going to throw away my scales and never look at them ever again.
Hmm.
But I think boxing is such a big part of your life that when it's gone, um, it's hard to fill that void, and that's why you see so many boxers like taking a negative path because they don't know what else to do with their time. So I think I will always be involved in boxing at some level. Definitely go back to my amateur club and be coaching, possibly be helping with the likes of Joe Gallagher's academy and doing things in there because I love giving back to the sport. I'm involved in parliamentary groups around boxing. um, Punditry is definitely something I'd like to do. I've been doing bits with the Zone, been doing some with Sky, and it's you get the best seats in the house. You're sitting back and you're critiquing other people's performance, like, and it's not something that you don't know about. It's something that I'm quite comfortable to talk about and knowledgeable on. So you just say what you see, and it's not a bad life.
Because 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 you before you went to get like in the ring after you had your daughter, you did do a bit of work with Sky, didn't you? And then you decided to give it a go in the pro ranks.
Yeah, it was just again, like all my life, all I've done is take opportunities, and the opportunity to become a pro presented itself, and I'd rather, me personally, I'd rather look back and say, oh, it didn't work out, but at least I did it, than I wonder what would have happened if, or you know, the what ifs. If I would have done that, if I would have done this, what would have happened? But so I'd rather take the opportunity and say, right, it didn't work, but at least I took it, than look back and regret it.
Anyway, were you just happy to get it started, or were you enjoying like the build up towards this?
I think for us, like we went out to China to qualify. We only had one qualifier, um, and we had no pressure because I don't think people expected us to qualify. If I'm honest, um, we went out there with the mindset that we had to get to the quarters to qualify, and then when we got there, they said, "Oh no, that's changed. We're doing it in regions." Now I knew I was top 8 in the world, but I didn't know if I was top 3 in Europe. And anyway, I qualified. Sav qualified. Nikki qualified, and the only country to qualify all their teams was us and Russia. Um, so we when we came home, we'd qualified, and it was like there was a big rush on then to see who these 3 women were that was going to be involved in this new sport that no one had ever heard, like no one had ever seen women's boxing before. But there was a big rush on because nobody knew who we were, and like there was kind of like there was a like it went from like one day I could kind of walk down the street, and then the next day, like, people were doing double ticks at me to is that girl? Is that girl? So that was crazy. And like, I remember being into, because there was so much media stuff that we had to do when we got back after we qualified. Like, I remember being in town with my brother, and people were like saying, "Oh, can we?" I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the carry on.
Yeah, so I was in town shopping with my brother, and people were saying, "Oh, can we have a picture? Can we have a picture?" And like, I was dead embarrassed, and he was dead embarrassed. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm not coming to town with you anymore." But like, obviously that like faded away after the Olympics had been and gone. But when you're there and when you're in them moments, when you so we then so the big 4 year focus was to qualify. Then we qualified after these 4 years, and that was like, okay, you've qualified now. Whatever you've done before doesn't matter, because now we want you to go to the Olympics and get a medal. So all them like 4 years were kind of like brushed aside, and like, doesn't yeah, don't worry about that now. We've done that now. So now that the focus is getting a medal. So when everybody's in the gym and everybody's got a date and everyone's training towards the Olympics, there's a different type of buzz in the camp. Everyone's pushing everyone through sessions, dragging everyone through, and it that time is amazing. And then you go to the Olympics, people go on first, because boxing's the only sport that lasts from the first to the last day. So I remember a go-go, and I couldn't, somebody else, it might have been Luke Campbell, weren't allowed to go to the opening ceremony because they was boxing the next day early. So then we was in the Olympic ceremony, all the crowds there, and then I went out and fought, and everyone's screaming, and we've never had a tournament in the UK like that. And when we go abroad, the whole world hates England or GB, so you get booed everywhere. So when we went to the Olympics and got cheered, I was like, didn't know what to do with myself. But then when because you are an athlete and you are, driven to, you're focusing on the result. And um, I remember one of me, like, one of me, like, really good friends was saying, like, do a video diary and document it, and like, talk about how you feel. And he said it'll be dead boring, but you'll you'll look back in years to come. And I was like, oh, every day I was doing it, and I was like, this is boring. But because I was so focused on the result, I didn't enjoy the kind of experience because I wanted the result so much. So then now that's gone, and I look back at that video diary, I get all emotional because I remember how I felt, and I remember the experience, and it brings back very fond memories. But at the time, as an athlete, I was just so focused on the result that the occasion didn't really matter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to be honest, if the occasion did get to you or anybody else on that team, it would not, it would not have been a good, it would not have been, it would not have been a good sign for you going into the biggest tournament of your life. So yeah, I can completely understand what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, that's just how it is. You just and GB are that, like, heavily focused as well on, we kind of, as GB, especially the men was always good, but we'd never had that, like, financial support and that structure. And when we first got onto GB and started going to tournaments, we were the team that people wanted to be up against. But by the time 2012 came, we developed and progressed that much that we was up there with the Russians and the Chinese as one of the teams you didn't want to draw. And our results proved that.
uh, so well, so that, obviously that was the first Olympics where where the women were were allowed to box in the Olympics. Am I right in that, or am I mistaken?
No, you're right. 2012 was the first time women boxing had been allowed. Um, and we didn't have we only had three weights. The men had 10. I think now it's gone to 9-4 or something like that. But we're or 9-5. It might be. We're slowly getting there. Hopefully there'll be, you know, level at some stage. And
Admittedly, I don't watch amateur boxing much, but you know, in the amateurs, they they've they've stopped wearing their hard guards, haven't they?
for the, I think for seniors open class men, they do. I'm not too sure about the women anymore. I think the women still wear their head guards, um, and the juniors and the schoolboys and schoolgirls do as well.
Well, well, to be fair, with the younger, I would not expect anything different. Because obviously, up until a certain age, I think everybody should wear. I think everybody should wear enough.
No, yeah, of course you don't want to see young kids with, cuts and scars everywhere, and by the time they are reach the age of where they want to turn pro, or whether they're on the GB squad or something, they're cut to death and can't go into competition. So yeah, it makes sense to keep, the head guards on, because there's less cuts and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't get cut if you've got a head guard on, because you do, but there's less chances of it getting splits and cuts and so on and so forth.
Because obviously, in football, for example, I think the band heading from like the eights downwards. I could be wrong, and that but I know they're definitely banned heading for the younger ones. So yeah,
No, I think you're right. And they're trying to move the age up, I think, up until 12, I think. But I'm not 100% sure on that either. But I do know that they've banned some form of heading.
so so do you know when you first decided to, I'm gonna go I'm gonna try it as a pro? Yeah. Do you know the week of your fight? Yeah. Do you know the do you know the week of your fight? Did you have
Yeah.
any Did you have any last minute hesitation or not or not really?
No, the week of, do you know what? It sounds mad saying this, but the fight's the easy part. You, People don't see that you've trained 10 and 12 weeks to even get to the fight position, so when you've got, by the time the fights come, you're just so happy that the fight's here, that you don't have to train anymore. That's the easy bit.
Uh, uh, yeah, cause for me, I know if I did all that work, yeah, and I basically decided not to do it at the last bit, I would feel like I did all that work for nothing.
No, that's it. So, you go through so many things in camp, so many emotions, blood, sweat, and tears, ups and downs, that by the time the fight actually comes, you are ready to just get in the ring and just perform. Or at least I am.
So, so once you've had a fight, yeah, how do you like to unwind? Like, what's your preparation for unwinding?
Um, I've got a big family, mate, and I'm dead close to loads of them. So I like to, just go and chill with my family, and most of our family's events surrounded by food and drink. So just go and just have that, because I miss out on so many occasions training for fights, that when it's done, I like to go back and just chill with the people that support and love me most.
I I I like gonna imagine that. I like gonna imagine when you do unwind, it's like it's like even even if you don't go on physical holiday like abroad, I imagine it's like taking a vacation because you exert so much energy and preparation building up to the fight. That when it's finally over, even lounging about, even lounging about at home must be like a vacation if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it is, and it goes back to what I was saying before. Boxing for me is 99% mental. Your body can do anything that it wants to do, your mind's with it. So when you're finished the fight and you do get to relax and unwind, it's not, I mean, you do physically, I'm not going to go, on the Sunday after fighting on the Saturday and start running miles and hitting bags, but it's the mental just break from the sport that, you can recoup and regenerate, and then when the next camp comes you can come back, because you need that mental time, to that mental break, to be away and to come back and be like, yeah, I'm ready now.
So so I long decommitted before you or your team what to take back. And look at what you did wrong and what you need to improve on. Because obviously you don't want to do it straight away. Cause obviously you want to give it time to settle in and to really think about where it went wrong.
It's different. The Terry Harper fight was one of the first fights I ever watched back straight away. I only ever watched my Katie Taylor Olympic fight back last year. That was the first time watching it with the Joe Gallagher Academy. Was the first time I ever watched it back. I'd never ever watched it back. I still haven't watched the Obanov fight back. Um, and then there's others that I haven't watched. It's just it depends on the situation, I think, and um, me personally, I've never been really one that likes to watch my opponent, myself, or anything, because I just think you have to go out there and impose your strengths. Obviously, it's good for your coaches to know your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, and you work a plan out for that. But I've never been one personally that's big on watching it. But I have done.
But but I would obviously assume that your coaches uh, watch at least watch you back to some degree, so they can define your game to a certain extent.
Yeah, no, the coaches I would expect to watch it, and I know Joe does. Joe's religious in, watching everyone. He counts shots. He counts, what shots it is, when they start, he's he's like a man on a mission. But sometimes he will make me sit down and say, look, you need to watch this. Um, but if it was left to me, I probably wouldn't.
I I are you just one of them people that don't like to watch yourself on any sort of level, whether it's boxing or whether it's like a family video sort of thing.
Probably, yeah, probably a little bit. Um, I'm not really shy either. I'm like, if someone's just got a video of me doing something stupid, I'll be like, put it up if you want to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not bothered about things like that. But I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know.
Cause, cause I know for me, I love being on camera. Like don't get me wrong, if somebody got a camera now, I'm not trying to steal the spotlight for anybody, but I do like to be on camera. Obviously, doing what I do now. I'm obviously on camera quite a lot, so it would be weird if I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's people that know me that'll say, "Oh, she's wild, she's crazy, she'll do anything," and then there's people that maybe don't know me so much and be like, "Oh, she's quite shy." So it depends which me turns up.
Does it also depend on the people that you're around? Not in a bad way, but are there certain people that can get more excitement out of you?
No, yeah, yeah, I would say so, yeah. There's just, there's some people that are in your comfort zone, your comfort circle, and you can be yourself, can't you? And I think sometimes, especially with social media and people with phones and stuff, they can capture stuff that can get you into trouble. So around certain people, I'll act one way, but around my friends and my family, I'll just be myself.
To be honest, in 2021, you do have to be careful because there's so many people that want to cut you out for many different reasons that you do have to be careful at all time, really.
Yeah, and especially in a sport like ours, where you know you you're selling yourself. You're your own um identity. Your own, you know, you're you're the product. I'm the product. So if I'm trying to get people to buy into my product, so if if something happens and people don't like it, then that's a whole bunch of people that aren't now fans, that aren't now followers, that aren't now ticket buyers, that aren't now viewers, that and that has a knock-on effect, to who you get promoted to, who buy, how good the ticket seller you are, and they all the things that add up. So and it's so easy. Sometimes you don't you see of young people putting tweets that they did when they were 11, and people are pulling them out of nowhere, and you just got to be so careful these days, and it is a little bit scary and a little bit thingy, but you are a role model, and whether you like it or not, there's people and kids that watch it and look up to you, and are seeing what you're doing, so you've got to be mindful of that.
I know it's like I know it's like if the people start if people start to dislike you, obviously that gonna decrease your stock, and then people aren't gonna want to pay to see you because that they think that you're unlikable or whatever the situation is. And at the end of the day, if you're not market if you're not marketable towards them for promoters, at the end of the day, not gonna put you, they're not gonna put you in the high level fight that you want. If you know what I mean. So yeah, you just have to be careful, don't you?
No, exactly that. You're putting yourself out there to sell yourself, and like we're saying earlier, you know what, if I say something, if one person finds it offensive, then it's offensive. you know it's how people perceive what you put out, and you just got, yeah, it's just a minefield, and social media is great for so many things, but it's terrible for others, and you just got to be mindful that what's out there.
Before I started doing this, I went through every single my social media and deleted all the way old tweets and all my old posts and that, and then started off fresh. That's the
Y-
best way to do it.
yeah, to be fair, I've always been quite grounded in what I've said, and I think a lot of the stuff that I've put up is inoffensive. I'd like to think so. Obviously I haven't gone back to the start, but um, yeah, I've tried to be mindful anyway about what I do put up there. I've always been. I have worked in schools. I have worked with young people, so I've always tried to be careful about things that I've put up.
The, 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 you know, when you go into school and schools and you talk with these kids, what is your what is your main word of advice for them? Like if you had to take one thing from one of your thoughts and play it for everybody in the world to see, what would it be?
I think, like, I always say at the end, like, you know, work hard, try your best, never give up, and the thing that's most important out of everything is believing in yourself, because there's going to be times when only you can see what you want to do or what your vision is, and you're trying to get other people to buy into it, and not everybody will. So, but as long as you do, then it's possible. So that's the belief in yourself is something that's huge.
I believe sometimes not only in sport but in life, the destination can, no sorry the journey comes better than the destination in many respects. Like it's all well and good to be at the top of the game, but I think sometimes the journey can be better. 'Cause obviously you go through ups and downs and that can define you as a person.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes, like I said before, you as an athlete, you get lost in the journey because you're so focused on the results. But now I appreciate the looking back and every experience I have now, now that I am a little bit older and a little bit, my concept and mind has changed, that I do appreciate the journey now. So every time I'm there, like I enjoy it. I savor the moments, as they say, because one, it doesn't last forever, and two, you've just you've got to you've you've got to, because it's here and gone. Like at 36, I'm like the world's oldest boxer, but then you know there's going to be a long life without boxing that I'm going to look back on these memories. So I want to enjoy the feeling when I've got it.
Like, you- like, because obviously you couldn't go to, I think it was Rio because of your throw. So if you would have went to Rio, do you think you would have went pro, or do you think that would have been it after Rio, looking back at it in hindsight?
Say that again, sorry.
I said, was it Rio you couldn't go to because of your throw, with that, or have I got that wrong? Because I think it was Rio, wasn't it? Wasn't it that you couldn't go to because of your throw?
Yeah, I think Rio was just out of my control. That like it was either get the operation and you don't go to Rio, or don't get the operation, try and attempt to qualify for Rio, but you may have trouble with your toe later on in life. And I'm like, I
It,
need my toe.
it's a,
So
it's not worth it, is it?
say that again, sorry.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it really. Is it? When you when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's not worth it. Like having problem with this guy at like 50 years old.
Exactly, and like I said, you're a long time not boxing, so I need me toe.
So do you know if you would have went to Rio as planned? Do you think you would have? Do you think you would have went pro? I know it's a bit difficult to say, but in hindsight, do you think you would have went pro if you would have went to Rio?
Um, I'm not sure because I always knew that I wanted to have children or a child. I've got one. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I think that year, the 2 years that I took out, obviously was enough time for me to have a baby and become a mom and sort that side of my life out. And then when she was in her routine and settled, then it then I had the options of what I wanted to do then, because I was so focused. I went from being focused on boxing results to being focused on trying to be this perfect mum and do everything that the book says and that the nurses tell you, and that all these lessons and classes teach you and family tells you, and you're so focused on that and trying to be perfect that boxing, I forgot about boxing. And then when she was kind of in her little routine and she had her own little life, I was like, okay, what do I do with myself now? So then the opportunities were there for me. So um I don't know if I would have went to Rio and not had Mila, would I have I'd have kind of pined to have her within that time. So
I, I, I mean, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, and I think that uh, this is going to sound weird, but I believe that was meant to happen for, obviously, that was meant to happen for a reason, and obviously, you had your daughter in that time, so obviously, was meant to happen. Was meant to happen. That's what I believe anyway.
No, yeah, I agree. I think everything does happen for the reason, and even the bad things and the losses and whatever, they happen for the reason because it's that resilience of picking yourself back up and working hard to do it and getting back to it and proving people right and proving people wrong.
Yeah. So my penultimate question. So if you could go anywhere in the world to live, where would you go to? Like if you could pick one country to live in, would you like to stay in England or would you like to go around the world and
So I'm a massive hope because I think because I've lived in America. With GB, we lived in Sheffield and we travelled the whole world round and back. That I love being home. I think at our best, there's no better place in the world to live than Liverpool. But if I had to choose a different place, the country I would choose would be Holland. I just think the people are amazing, the country is amazing, and I've never had a bad time when I've been there.
uh, to, to be to be honest, for some reason I've always been fascinated with Holland because even though it's not as popular as America, it's still an interesting country, I think. So yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very much like Liverpool. It's very diverse. It's very, you know, yeah, it's just a great city. Nice people, nice places.
so so, do, so my last question is, do, do you know do you know if you could do you know if you could pick your dream if you could pick your dream opponent for your retirement fight, who would it be?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I think I'd have to go. It'd be someone with a belt, so it'd have to be either Katie Taylor or Terry Harper.
To be honest, I would love to see you and you and Kate you and Kate again. Just because I think that would be a nice little bow on your little right on your rivalry if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both massively respect each other inside and outside of the ring, but there's some scores I'd like to settle and put right.
Okay, yeah, I hope one day you can get to do that. So thank you for coming on. So
Oh no, thank you for having me.
it's okay. So is there anything you would like to promote?
No, nothing at the minute, but I just want to say thank you for yourself and putting us out there in a positive light and supporting the movement of women's boxing. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for giving me some of your time. Because I know it must be pretty late for you, and I know you're probably really exhausted. So I appreciate your time.
No problem. And my little girl's running out of patience now. She just came in the
Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, then it's at Anthony Podcast 1. Anthony Podcast 1 on both Twitter and Instagram. And I will speak to you guys soon. Stay safe and have a good day.